Man, guys, I'm excited for you to join me for today's episode. Incredibly important topic that we're going to be diving into, one that I'm extremely passionate about. So, if you own a countertop, flooring, tile, or remodeling business, and you are tired of being squeezed and having to lower your prices just to keep your crews busy, stay tuned because I'm going to be sharing with you why you don't have to give discounts. You don't have to lower your prices just to win jobs, and how to be able to stand apart in your market so that prospects choose you because you offer more value. Because the reality is, if your prospects can't tell the difference between you and the next three guys, then unfortunately, they're going to default to the cheapest option. Why would they pay more if everything appears to be equal? What happens when you're lowering prices just to win jobs is that you've got very thin margins that creates constant stress and poor cash flow. And those customers that you took on don't really value your work. And they're often the biggest headaches, right? And they're a drain on your resources, your time. And that's really not how you want to build a business. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you how to build a competitive advantage that allows you to actually charge premium pricing and attract the right customers. All right, guys, where I want to start this off is by sharing with you the trap I want you guys to be aware of and that you want to avoid. Far too many countertop, flooring, and other Surface Pro companies feel like they're forced into having to compete on price. And they try to win by saying yes to every job, serving every type of customer, and really just forcing themselves to have thinner and thinner margins to keep their crews busy, to keep lights on, make sure their schedule is full. And that's the last thing you want to do. It actually sabotages your success. Again, when a customer sees you as just the same as the next guy, when you're lost in a sea of same, then you lose all of your leverage and you don't need to compete in the arena of price. It's a race to the bottom where nobody wins. What you need is a proven formula to be able to attract the right customers, charge premium rates, and own a percentage of the market better than anybody else. Or what maybe an easier way of looking at that is, I want you to be able to own a piece of the market better than anybody else. And why do I say that? When so many companies often want to dominate their market, right? You hear that all the time. We want to dominate our market. Well, that's where you think, hey, we'll serve everybody. We'll take every kind of job. You know, we hear it all the time. You see it on companies' websites, no project too big or too small. And they list that they do residential, right? Retail homeowners they serve, general contractors, kitchen and bath, multifamily, on and on and on, right? And they'll take a tiny project and they'll take a massive project. You don't want that. You want to narrow your market, and then you want to own that little piece of the market better than anybody else. That's called having a mini monopoly, right? When you have a competitive edge that your customers value and you're focusing on a very specific type of customer, you actually can scale your business more easily and quickly. And that may seem to you like, no, we don't want to turn down business, right? If we say no to those jobs, we're going to struggle or won't be able to grow. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. I'm going to be sharing with you more of the strategic shifts you're going to need to make, but that's why these systems inside the growth engine is so important. This specific one, called the market advantage, is absolutely critical to you being able to scale, because once you've reclaimed your time in the growth engine, you've gained clarity and you've built a culture that performs, then the next move for you is to carve out a position in the market that's so strong that your ideal customers come to you pre-sold. What you want is, you want to be the obvious choice that hands down, it's apples to oranges, right? They can't compare you on price, and you offer far more value in ways that matter to them. All right, guys, let's go ahead and break down how to actually do this. So I'm going to unpack for you guys 3 strategic shifts to build your competitive advantage. Shift number 1 is to specialize to stand out. And I kind of started to dig into that a little bit just a moment ago. The best way to escape competing on price is to pick a lane and own it, right? So again, you don't want to try to serve everybody: builders, designers, homeowners, commercial, multifamily. Because when your messaging and your positioning tries to speak to everybody, it connects with nobody. All right, so imagine this instead, that you become known as the go-to countertop shop or flooring company for high-end builders who need tight turnarounds and a true logistics partner, not just another sub that doesn't care about their reputation. And that's a big shift, right? For builders and contractors, you want to represent the solution to the pains, frustrations, and challenges that they have, right? You want to show them how you can impact their bottom line, how you can make it more profitable to work with you than the competition beyond just what you put on the bid, and how that's really of a true benefit to them. And for homeowners, you want to be able to communicate to them how you can help them avoid all of the things that they're worried about, the things they have anxiety, fears of, overwhelm, and how you can deliver on their ideal outcome, right? In their mind, they have an ideal outcome of what this project is going to look like and how it's going to go, and they want certainty. So how are you going to be able to communicate that you can deliver certainty? When you can do that properly, they're not going to be swayed by just saving a few bucks. At least the good customers aren't, right? The bad fit customers will do that, and we don't want those people, right? We've got to start learning to say no to those people. So again, specializing doesn't limit you. It allows you to own a piece of the market. All right, now, the next big shift number 2, is you've got to be able to clarify your competitive edge so it's easy to understand by the market and by your team. So I want you to ask yourself, why should somebody choose you over everybody else, right? What makes you the obvious choice, like the hands down, no brainer, slam dunk, obvious choice? And if you do this exercise and you're saying to yourself, well, we do quality work, or we show up when we say we're going to show up, and we do what we say we're going to do. I hear that a lot. That is not a competitive edge. Honestly, that's just what your customers are expecting. That's the bare minimum that you should be delivering. The other thing that's not a competitive advantage is, hey, we've been in business for 20 years, 50 years, doesn't matter. Family owned, veteran owned, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what type of equipment you have. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if your facility is 30,000 square feet. Your clients don't care. What you need is a clear, concrete point of difference. What does that mean? Well, we need to have something that speaks to them in a way that matters to them, right? For builders, for example, same week installs for approved builders. And I'll get into that in future episodes, how to actually package your competitive advantage, but that's just a quick example. Another one might be white glove experience from quote to final walkthrough. Now, what you need to make sure you do is you've got to be specific. What does white glove experience mean? Because right now, buyers are savvy, right? They're also skeptical. So if we just say, hey, 5-star service, white glove experience, well, your competitors can say that as well. And so that's where you want to make sure that you're able to be very specific about how you deliver that and then back it up. Another example might be that you've got a specialized product line. That's not often where I want to plant our flag for a competitive advantage, but that's just an example. It's not as defensible because somebody else can go out and be able to offer the same things. And then finally, you guys might be familiar with the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. And so people often will go to a satisfaction guarantee that no competitor would even dare to match, right? We've got to have a offer so good that nobody would refuse it. That's also not where I often want people to plant their flag, because what we'd rather have is not to have to de-risk something by having a guarantee so good that they are willing to, go forward with us. Instead, we want to have real solutions to their problems, or a way that we can, again, give certainty that we can help them achieve their desired outcome, not de-risk it. When we work with our clients, we help them craft a truly compelling competitive advantage that makes it apples to oranges, so that when a customer or a prospect is looking at you and 3 competitors, you're the orange to the other apples. And it's a no-brainer. They can tell this is completely different. And so I can't compare it based on price, right? And when you can do that and own your little piece of the market, you build a mini monopoly. And that's how you're going to really be able to scale your business much faster and more easily. All right, now finally, guys, shift number 3 is your competitive advantage should define your business and your marketing should amplify it. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that you're not just in the business of selling countertops, flooring, or tile. That makes you just a commodity, and a commodity is often based on price. What we need to do is come up with a competitive advantage and then optimize our business model around delivering that very specific advantage to our customers. Everything in your business should be built around that, from how you do your installs to how you hire, what your customer experience is like. And then everything in your business should be built around delivering that competitive advantage, from how you install, your customer experience, how you hire, and what you say in your ads, right? You don't want to be like everybody else just posting another install video or behind the scenes of, putting in new flooring or a new countertop, right? That's just the same as everybody else. What you want to be able to say is, hey, this builder came to us, their last fabricator kept blowing up the deadlines, and we were able to get them from being behind schedule to on track and delivered within 5 days. And now we're their exclusive partner. Now, that story doesn't just market your business, it defines it, right? People can understand, hey, this is what you stand for. This is how you deliver value, and it helps to build trust. And this is what's going to help you stand apart from your competition. Because if your positioning isn't baked into how you operate, then no amount of marketing is going to save you. All right. I want to recap that again. That's a good one, right? That's something I really want you to take note of and then install that in your business. Is your positioning, if it's not baked into how you operate, no amount of marketing is going to save you. All right, guys. So those are the 3 major shifts that I want you to make in your business so that you can have a true competitive advantage. Now let's go ahead and do the work right now. Here are your quick next steps. I want you to write down 3 reasons why premium clients would choose you, why you'd be the obvious choice. And then I want you to ask your team to do the same. And I want you to take those answers, line them up. And first off, if they don't align, then you and your team are literally not on the same page. And if they don't feel powerful and compelling enough to make it a no-brainer why somebody would work with you, then you've identified the first gap that you need to close in crafting your competitive advantage. Okay, so honestly, that's a great place to start, but there's a lot more that goes into having a true competitive advantage and then putting it in the marketplace. So if you want help crafting your competitive advantage and building a brand that sells on value, not on price, that's exactly what we help our clients do inside of our Growth Engine programs. So if that's of interest, you can find a link in the description or the show notes to get help. And if this episode has really helped you shift how you think about your business, then I'd love for you to hit subscribe, because we've got more shows coming that break down each of the systems in our Growth Engine so you can install it one system at a time. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you follow so you don't miss out on the next episode. All right, guys, until then, stay driven for growth.